What's up,
Ready to
man?
go? Hey, man. Long time no see. I feel like it's been
You're back.
forever and a day.
Well, it's
We're
been like
back.
six
We're back.
months, maybe 10 months. I don't know. It feels like a long time.
It feels like 10 years because we used to do this every week, and now all
Yeah,
of a sudden, then it went dark. And I was like,
yeah,
man, something's missing in my life.
100%.
And it's got a lot's changed for me. I don't know about
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
right? A lot's changed for both of us, but excited to be back. Welcome
yeah.
to Hard Knock Crypto. It's
Yes.
been a long journey and a long break, but we are happy to be back, spending
Yeah.
time with everybody. Yeah, so Andrew, tell me what's going on with you.
I mean, I saw the news and Bitcoin was at all-time high, so I'm like, Lenny, we got to get on the pod. Like, apparently this Bitcoin thing isn't a fad.
That was pretty crazy, right? I mean, it literally went probably about a week ago or 10
Yeah,
days. It was, we were fluctuating, right? Just that 70K mark, and it was at 68. And I'm like, oh, 67. There were moments in time.
yeah,
And then today, I think it was at like 76 at one point. And I'm like, oh man,
yeah,
that seemed like overnight. Overnight.
yeah. I mean, it
Yeah.
was election night because it did a seven thousand
Yeah.
dollar candle from 68 to 75. And
Right.
it's kind of cool that it's correlated with the guy that won. So I think there may be
100%.
green lights ahead.
I was telling everybody, uh, because at that point it really was, I need to buy more. I was frantic about needing to buy more.
Yeah,
Um, beg, borrow, steal. I need
yeah,
to buy more. I think the conversation I was having was before the election, I want to buy more. Like I just felt, even today, I feel like every day I'm missing
yeah.
the opportunity if I don't have more. And I think I'm going to feel that for a while, for the next 6 months for sure.
I think it's really easy to maybe think short term because it hit 70 in March, and then it has just done
Right.
this chink, 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 up and down, up and down, up and down. Uh, but with how pro Trump is, and we're going to talk about the election. We have some interesting takes. We have some firsthand takes. But it is amazing to me that even from a year ago, uh, how mainstream Bitcoin is, and with the powerful people, how mainstream Bitcoin is. And it could be easy right now to be like, oh man, I'm missing the boat. It's gonna like go up and then it's gonna crash and I won't have got, or it's just gonna go up and I'll never get in. I think it is, but we run in cycles. Bitcoin's always been in cycles, 3 years up, 1 year down. And that's probably going to continue to happen, but it may just go up for 4 years and then continue because the infrastructure that is being put in place, the pro Bitcoin people that are put in place in the American administration, is just out of control. And it's so pro crypto, so pro Bitcoin versus what it has been. I think even if you get a little bit now and it goes up to 80, 90, like I'm hearing and thinking that maybe by inauguration day, it'll be 100,000 bucks.
Right.
And it's really easy to be like, especially if you don't have maybe funds right now, like I'm missing the boat, and you somewhat are, but at the same time, people like us have been talking about this for years,
We've been
and I
talking
also
for a
think,
while.
I also think it's just going to keep going up, and it's going to be crazy. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I just read somewhere, someone said, posted, they think it's going to be 700,000 next year, right?
Next year,
And next year. And I said, because I'm somewhat pessimistic about these type of, things that are stated out there. And it's seven hundred
I mean, that's a pretty
thousand
bold statement.
dollars. That is a bold statement.
Yeah,
But I took a step back and I said, if it gets to 150,000, does that seem out of the realm of possibility, seeing what we've talked about, what we're seeing now?
yeah,
I think a lot of what you just talked about people being involved in just
Pro
it's
Bitcoin.
pro Bitcoin
Yeah.
in the US. Is 150 out of the realm of possibility? And I said absolutely not.
No.
So if I could get in at 75K and you're telling me in 12 months I'll have $150,000 per Bitcoin,
Yeah.
in which market would you ever be able to do that?
No.
Right? And, I mean, imagine that in 12 months being able to double your
Yeah.
investment.
Yeah.
Almost unheard of,
Yeah.
right? And so I'm with you. I think, listen, 700K, I would love it to be 700K, but if you
I,
told me that it would get to 100 by inauguration and in 12 months we're talking about 150K, man, I'd be doing backflips and I'm 54. I don't think I can do them, but I'll figure it out
oh my
if we get
gosh.
to 150K. I may not put it on video, but um, yeah, and everything that you just stated is so on point. Think about the people who are, just coming into this environment, coming into potentially leadership positions with this
Yeah.
new administration. I mean, I mean, Elon Musk I know he's a Doge guy, right?
Mm.
But he's got a ton of Bitcoin. You
Yeah.
just don't hear about him, talk about it.
Right.
He is a crypto guy. Vivek is too smart and too young not to be
He
actively
is.
involved.
Vance is.
Um, yeah, Vance
RFK
is
is.
everybody who is going to have a key
Yeah.
leadership position and have the year of President Trump is a
Yeah.
pro crypto person.
Yeah.
Um, he himself, President Trump, went into I think a New York City bar and bought everybody hamburgers or something like that using Bitcoin. Like,
Yeah.
and he showed up at the Bitcoin conference, right? That
Yeah.
you were at
And I
that
was
conference,
there.
right?
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
amazing.
It was, I think that all signs are pointing to, quite honestly, everything that we've been talking about. We were like, oh, someday, or we're
Right.
on the cusp of it.
Yeah.
Everything is lined up now,
Oh my gosh.
right? And I think anybody who's thinking, oh, is Bitcoin a thing? Every time I have that conversation, I say, hey man, you're like 10 years behind the conversation.
Yeah.
Like that train left
Yeah.
the
It's
station.
not even close.
It's not even close though. Yeah, I
Literally,
agree
if
with
you've
you.
ever bought Bitcoin ever, if you've ever bought Bitcoin, you are in the green and you didn't sell.
Right.
And it's always the volatility. Oh, I lost a lot of money on Bitcoin. Well, that's because you were dumb and you sold it. Like
You
nobody is
sold it.
making you. So, yeah, it's the regulation because it's forever. It's just been, oh, America's terrible for crypto. We're fighting the Genslers and Elizabeth Warrens and everybody. And now it's like, the movie. I've been talking about this on X a little bit. The movie Narnia and The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, that kids
Yeah.
movie. And
Yeah.
so the story is like the White Witch's reign of terror, and it's snow, and it's never Christmas, and it's always snow, and all of a sudden it starts to thaw, and there's
Right.
like the Aslan is on the move, and it feels like that, like the reign of terror in a lot of ways is
In a lot of ways.
thawing and everybody can feel it, and reson there's this resonance of hope, and it's like hope I haven't felt in a long time, where like I think even in my own head I'm like, well, everything's gonna just get worse and worse and worse, and then we're all gonna die.
Yeah.
But like, wait a minute,
That's
you
so
mean actually
terrible.
America could be like leading stuff, and we could be pro stuff, and it could like lead in technology, and I don't know, like, have you heard about the Bitcoin reserve we're talking about?
Yeah. That alone,
Oh my
if
gosh.
that were to happen, then I would say, yeah, 700K is possible.
Yeah. If that gets, because Cynthia Loomis out of Wyoming proposed this at the Bitcoin conference I was at, and we're going to put
Right.
up a Bitcoin reserve. We're going to buy 500 Bitcoin every day until we have 1 million Bitcoin. If that gets passed, there will just be a run on Bitcoin, not from the US,
Correct.
not from individuals, not even from your ETFs. It'll be like a global rush, because if you want to
Correct.
be in trade, if you want to be holding Bitcoin with everybody else, then you need to get it. Yeah, and then I think you're exactly right. And then it's like we wake up in January of 2026 and check the Bitcoin price. It's $742,000. Uh,
Right.
I think that would suck actually because because I want it to do this. I want it. We've
Right.
said it before. I wish it was like $30,000 right now. That'd be amazing, but it's not.
Oh,
Like, two.
for
It's
sure.
this. It's the secret that's gotten out, and everybody's starting to be like telling everybody. Except, I'll say this. Uh, I just looked at a chart, and it showed Google searches about Bitcoin, and it showed through the years. 2021 was the peak. That was when you got in. I got in the year
Right.
before. Everybody was losing their minds at whatever $60,000.
Right.
Right now, Google searches for Bitcoin have increased, but are about 1/4 of what they were in 2021. So, for your
Interesting.
average Google search person, Bitcoin at $76,000 still like a snooze fest.
Huh. Well, that's a good thing for us. I think it would be interesting if you checked what the search statistics were for like, the end of the U.S. democracy, like that whole search,
Yeah,
right? Is
right.
probably much higher than with Bitcoin. And I quite honestly, I would be okay with that shiny red ball still being the search about
Mm.
U.S. democracy while I get to buy more Bitcoin, right? Like, yeah, go do your thing.
Yeah.
I'll see you. I'll see you in 2026.
Right, right,
But
right.
you also know that mostly, I'm not. I don't know if I'm one of these guys. I look forward to 2026. If it gets to 700K, I have a few Bitcoin, and then be able to use that as because as an asset to be able
Yeah,
to then invest and grow, right?
yeah,
And I
for
think
sure.
that that's always even in the previous episodes, I think I've always talked about like that for me is what it becomes. I just listened to Natalie Brunell. She's
Yeah.
got a great podcast, and I think everybody in the world who wants to know about Bitcoin follows her. And she had a retired lieutenant, um, God, or retired colonel on there, and he was talking about it. He talked about two things. He talked about how gold has gone up in value about 30% in the last year or two, and then and Bitcoin and the
Right.
importance of this store of wealth. Why has it? Because of how incredibly great those two are for store of wealth. Now with this guy's, he's retired, probably in his
Yeah.
60s, 70s, and he's talking about this. And he said, fundamentally, what's the problem? Like, why is this happening? Well, because for the last 30 years, we've been running a fake economy on fake money. And, what he stated was, well, that's because, his concern is there's the impending financial Armageddon, he called it.
Right.
At some point, you can't keep running a fake economy on fake money. That it's going to implode. And so that's where you're seeing
Totally.
opportunities. Yeah, like I have gold, but I also am like,
Yeah.
okay, well, I put some into gold, but I'm going to put a lot of, now I'm like, okay, I got to be in Bitcoin because it is the store of wealth for me. And what does it look like?
Yeah.
Not in 3 months. People get too caught up in like they turn into day traders. I don't know why people
Oh
do
my
this,
gosh.
and then they expect to be like millionaire. Why am I not a millionaire? Why am I not set for life? Because you're kind of being a dumb day trader. Like
Yeah.
unless you quit your job
Yeah.
and spend 12 hours a day doing this and love high anxiety and stress and hate your family, why would I do that to myself,
Why do you think everybody that gets into crypto, like maybe 80% that starts to try to trade it, why is that?
I think it's fun early on,
Yeah.
right? Like, when I started in stocks many years ago, I mean, I was a kid and I was like, man,
Yeah.
this is kind of cool. Buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell. This is
Yeah.
kind of cool. right?
Right.
As kids, we do that. I think as we get older and become more mature and understand it a little bit more, we say, I think I need to pull back a little bit, and I recognize that I might not be an expert, but I can have a much longer term view. I think as we mature, people understand this more, and they
Yeah.
have a much longer view to things, right? And so, yeah, crypto is real fun in the beginning, and I think that it gives us an opportunity to learn a lot
Hmm. Yeah.
because we don't know anything about it, right? Let me
Right.
let me learn this a little bit. Um, but I think the eventual landing spot has to be, all right, I'm never going to be perfect at this, right? I think I just need to have a much longer view
Yeah.
and let me get those blue chips in place and then I can think about the next thing, right?
Yeah.
And, unfortunately, a lot of people don't do that. They get burned the first time because they decide they're going to invest $100,000, right? And then I'm going to just sell it, right? They just don't have that
Yeah.
concept of holding. Um, but
Yeah.
you know my story. Put $100,000
Yeah.
in, and it became like nothing. And I could have decided to, sell it and walk
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
Uh, but I just decided to hold it.
Yeah.
Right. And I went on vacation. Apparently, I went to Thailand when we talked.
I mean, imagine though, because I've heard other people in talk when they find out I'm into crypto or Bitcoin, and so many people like, oh, I did that, and then I lost a bunch of money. And if you had done that, sold it down 80%, 70%, whatever, you probably would have
Right.
never got back in. And
Never.
Bitcoin and crypto now would be like that thing that you're enviously watching, but you're like, oh yeah, I tried
Right.
that and I got screwed. And it's
Right.
just the buy and hold. I mean, it's really a principle. Like if you buy something, it doesn't mean it loses value, and it's that principle in life that if you hold on to it and write it out. And again, we like microwaves. We like short term. You could buy this and sell this in a week, and you can make
Right.
400% whatever. But if you can look at it, and it comes down to the principles of Bitcoin, there's only 21 million. It's all of the things that go with it, and you can get a fraction of that and think about where it is going to be, not now, not in 3 months, but in 10 years, in 20 years. So that's what I love about the reserve thought is like Trump is famous on a video for saying, hey, what if we paid off the national debt with a little crypto? He goes with a little Bitcoin check. And it's exactly right because we're $36 trillion in debt. But what if we just stockpile Bitcoin and it goes to $1 million a coin? And in 20 years, we actually have a plan to pay it off. Nobody has a
Right.
realistic, like, that's the first realistic plan to pay off the national debt that I've ever heard. And it's like, actually, that makes sense. And if Mr. Doge, if Elon comes in, the Department of Government, what's the E part?
Eff- Efficiency.
Efficiency. Department of
Right.
Government Efficiency comes in and pulls an X and just cuts 70% of our crap in the government. Oh my gosh.
Right.
Just imagine the fireworks.
Yeah. I just was listening to Patrick Bet David, right? And again,
Yeah.
I think everybody follows him now, and he
Yeah.
said that. He said, "Look at Elon. Came in and cut like 80% of staff
Yep.
at X, and everybody thought, oh man, this was going to be terrible, and it's gotten better,
Way better.
right? Way better." And so, how bloated does our government have to get?
Yeah.
Like I feel like the government has gotten to the point of if you ever watched Wall-E, it's just
Yeah.
a bunch of fat people sitting on these, their recliners and they're just
Mm-hmm.
floating around and just eating all day and really not doing much. I think
Yep.
that when Elon got introduced, so I went to the Trump rally in Madison Square
Yeah.
Garden.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so had my wife and I went. We stood online, got in, and when he got introduced, he was introduced as whatever, the guy for the government efficiency, what,
Yeah.
secretary of whatever.
Yeah.
And that's who he got introduced as. And they didn't even say, here's Elon Musk, here's the secretary, and everybody lost their mind. Because at some point we have to realize the government does not produce anything.
Oh, for sure.
Anybody who believes the government makes anything, they don't
Mm.
create jobs except for themselves, right? Unless you're going to go work for the government. They don't manufacture anything. They don't grow food. They don't do anything.
Right.
All they do is regulate and create greater inefficiency
And take
as they
from the
grow
people.
and take from the people.
Yep.
So, I mean, as you said, imagine 80%, right, was cut. I don't believe the government would stop. I just think that we get lighter on our feet, right? Um,
Yep.
I saw this interesting post by Bill Ackman, right?
Okay.
Who,
Yeah.
yeah, he's a billionaire, and he said, it would be really interesting if they looked at some of a lot of the work and things that happen in the government and brought in AI and see how we could become more efficient.
Yeah.
Like, I think Elon's going to come in and say, hey, how can we do this better? And how can we use technology?
Mm-hmm.
We could quite literally all of a sudden imagine the United States, our United States, that is a superpower in every single realm
Yeah.
in the world, all of a sudden become the financial hub to
Yeah.
be this huge, have the Bitcoin reserve,
Yeah.
bringing AI into government efficiencies. Uh, Elon, with the work of Elon, we're landing rockets, right?
Yeah.
Retrieving them, where all kinds of things are happening. I believe we're on the cusp of,
Yeah.
yeah, potentially the golden age of what is that next thing?
Hope.
Hope, right?
Oh
And
my
so,
gosh.
yeah, it was a really great, incredible event that we got a chance. We listened to just incredible people. RFK. Who would have thought that I'd go to a Republican rally and hear a Kennedy speak
Yeah.
at right? Never in my lifetime. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you, growing up, I was a Democrat,
Okay.
but I'm more of a classical Democrat as when my parents came as immigrants, as we came as immigrants. Much more, like I said, probably closer to what RFK is.
Sure.
And but that's not what the Democrat Party's become now. But it was amazing to listen to Tulsi Gabbard speak, another Democrat, former
Yeah.
Democrat. And,
Yeah.
just hearing, Vivek was great, who was not like, I don't know if he was a Republican growing up. He was probably,
Right.
uh, I don't know what he was. He might have been an independent, but just having a lot of people come in who come from very different
Yeah.
perspectives and saying, we think we could do some incredible things here. So it was just really a great experience. And, yeah, we know how the election turned out. So anyway, um,
It's amazing. I love the fact that it was so resounding, the election, because that was one thing. I didn't want to see it drug out weeks and weeks and people upset and
oh yeah,
angry. It's just like it's our one time. It feels like this to me. It's the one time where we can reset everything. It's like,
right,
hey, we're sick of this crap that's happened over the last 4 years. We just need some common sense, and we can get some adults in the room that can say no to wars, that can balance a budget, that recognize new technology, and let's lead the way. And
right,
it from, like, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago, maybe when RFK came on and Elon came on, a vote for Trump is not just a vote for the blowhard that ran the country from 2016 to 2020. I liked his policies. I'm not voting for Trump because I want my kids to be like Trump. I'm voting for Trump because he is who he is, his policies, and I feel like he's grown up a little bit. Maybe
right,
seeing what he could have done different,
right.
what he could improve. And now you get this Avengers squad of RFK, Elon, Tulsi, Vivek, Vance, just literally the sharpest guys in the room. And we can name them all, like 10 of them. I
Right.
don't think you cannot name two for the Democrats. Who's like the sharp Democrat
Right.
in the room? You're like, oh man, we need nobody. And I'm like, Again, I'm not dyed in the wool. I want Republican everything. Like there is not one sharp guy on the Democrat side where you'd be like, oh man, we need them. It's all
Right.
these maybe middle of the road, left, more center leaning, but have a clue. And it does, like you said, like this could be the golden age of the U.S. And I still cannot wrap my head around it.
Yeah,
I've
I
been
can't
thinking
either.
about it since the election, and it's like, this feels really weird to like be so
It,
hopeful.
it yeah, I feel it. I'm with you regarding that again. To be able, I think it's just the incredible talent that is there right
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
This is, if you were one of those people who said, man, we need change, right? This whole
yeah,
thing has to change, right?
yeah,
Regardless of which party you're in, if you're a
yeah, yeah,
libertarian, if you're,
yeah.
I don't, it doesn't really matter if you're Democrat.
Right.
If you're like, man, things got to change,
Yeah.
take a look at who's in the room.
Mm,
Those people would have never been invited
never.
ever in the past, right? These people should not even get along. You would be like, man, because there's too many type A's, huge personalities
Yeah.
who basically have said, you know what? We're going to check our ego at the door
Yeah.
and we're going to come together and we're going to figure out how to make us like next level great,
Mm,
right? Would never happen. So if you're someone who's like, we need a change, think about what you're asking for long-term change. You bring these people in,
yeah.
right, to make that change. You don't go back to, I mean, really, who would have come in, right, if Kamala had won? It would have been the Clintons. It would have been, the Obamas. It would have been,
Status quo.
you know, the Bidens. It would have been, here comes Nancy Pelosi, and here
Oh
comes
my
Chuck
goodness.
Schumer, and here comes, it would have been the same people that
Status
we've had to
quo.
deal with. Status quo. Um, I love the recent, I think it was just yesterday, or maybe it was today, the post of like the 10 things that President Trump was talking about, about doing something with the deep state. And one of them was term limits.
Yeah.
I'm all
Oh
about
man.
term limits.
Oh, me too. Get the new people in.
Yeah,
You don't need to
get the
be
new people.
living in Congress for 40 years. Give me a break.
Absolutely not. That means it's not. It's intended to serve,
Mm,
not to build wealth and a career.
yeah.
Right. It's almost like the military, right? You join the military, you serve 2 years, but you're always there to help. But if something were to happen, but I did my 2 years, or whatever, everybody should have their hand in it, right? Even at your local levels, right? You want to serve, right? And
Yeah.
people turn this into like a wealth generating
Oh man.
opportunity.
Yeah.
I mean, how rich is Nancy Pelosi,
She
right?
just did she just win her 20th term, I think? It was
Why would
20.
anybody in their right mind vote for her again? She's in her 80s, isn't she?
It's
Like
wild.
well, I mean, I get it. She probably has like, 3 or 4 more facelifts left in her, but
Yeah.
still, like, come on, like how much
Wild.
longer? Why would a 25-year-old young person vote for their great grandma,
Yeah.
right, to serve? Like, I just don't understand those type of things, but you can't talk about wanting change, then invite the same people. Hey, I want a really cool party, but I'm going to invite, you know, new the same old people to I'm
I
sorry,
mean,
that's not going to work. So
that's a really
I'm
good
looking
point.
forward to it. Yeah, I think that we're just, I think that, I'm glad. I think we were able to, and I want to see everybody get involved,
Yeah.
right? There are interesting Democrats who, won or may have lost, who were kind of middle of the road. And I look forward. I would love for President Trump to say, "Hey, listen, I think we can work together, right?
Yeah.
And who
So would
might
I.
be open to it and say, come on over. Let's talk about this. There are people who have
Yeah.
common ideas, and what are your ideas?
Yeah.
The Republican Party does not own the monopoly on good ideas,
No. I
right?
think you're
Just
exactly right.
Americans do.
You're exactly right, and that's a really good point. One thing I was hoping when Biden won, he talked, I still remember at his inaugural address, he talked about uniting, and then he kind of did the opposite. He made everything like as liberal as possible. But
Right.
Trump, as I said, I think he's grown a little bit, and I think he'll come in and be like, "Hey, let's do this." And if he can unite the country, uh, Bitcoin and crypto should not be partisan. It should not, and I don't think it's going to be. I think they've
Right.
realized some things over the last few months, and that Bitcoin and crypto is a future. And I think there are. So I think you made a really good point. I think there probably are sharp Democrats, young ones, but they've been stifled by your career people. And
Right.
if we can get some 30s and 40s, people in their 30s and 40s, and hear ideas and think and actually kind of this thought of what if it was the golden age, and instead of just consuming liberal media and even Fox News, and what if we just heard it from X and we heard it from YouTube and we heard regular people? I mean, I think Trump was going to win before, but the slam dunk was Rogan and all the other
Right.
podcasts and PBD and all of them, because we actually just get to hear him. And yeah, he had some side trails and some things. Like as I listened to the 3 hours of
The
Rogan, I'm like,
weave.
oh my gosh,
The
shut up,
weave.
dude. But then it's like, oh, actually, he's probably not Hitler. There's not a bunch of Nazis at Madison Square Garden. We're hearing all this junk, and I think that red wave of people are like, yeah, we're not just buying this anymore. There could be a golden age for the future. For I know our kids that are teenagers, mine are even younger. Like I have never been so hopeful in my entire adult life. Like in 20 years of let's see. And it's almost that thought of like I'm in the Dubai area, and part of me is like reassessing things, like the hope and future that I always feel like in Dubai and the UAE. I think that's going to start seeping into the US of like, hey, we can do anything.
Yeah.
Like, hey, like let's not put all of the red tape and stuff on. Let's make your dreams go. Let's go to Mars together. Even something simple like Trump is going to do like I think it was the he's going to do a 250th birthday party for the U.S. and it's like
I
the
saw that.
state fair and all of this, and that's like, yeah, what if we just like we're proud Americans and enjoyed each other, and like that's an idea. I love it.
I I saw that and I was like, that is the best idea ever,
Yes,
right?
and
In
if I'm in the U.S., I would go to
2026.
it. Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
plan on it.
I, ch- yeah, it's absolutely 2026. I think he said something about a
Yeah,
year-long celebration of 250 years of the United States celebrating,
I
right,
love
its
it.
independence. And yeah, it just, what an amazing thing to celebrate. And then
Yeah,
and I think part of it is also about, well, hey, what does the future look like? What does the next 250 years look like?
yeah,
I
yeah.
think that if we keep looking at, I think you said something about, it seems that, a lot of people are now understanding the importance of Bitcoin and crypto for the future. We have to figure out how to let go of the Elizabeth Warrens of the world and
So
say,
much.
hey, I think it's time for you to retire
Yeah,
because we appreciate maybe what your thoughts were in, the 70s and the 80s. I don't know, was
sort
she
of.
maybe, I don't know, 90s,
Right,
whatever.
right.
But we're, you, I don't think you're prepared for what's coming. And right now you might be holding back what could be this
Yeah,
incredible future. And I think that at some point, Massachusetts needs to get let go of Elizabeth Warren.
yeah,
California's got to get let go of Nancy Pelosi. New York's got to get rid of like Chuck Schumer.
yeah.
I mean, you could go down the list of people who just McConnell is finally going to retire,
Yep.
right? Who I can't stand, and he's a Republican. I can't stand him.
He's brutal.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Mitch. Yeah, and so there are people like this that we got to say, hey, you know what? That was your season,
yeah,
and now we're looking forward to move forward to like we're moving forward with something new
yeah.
and something fresh, and we're all going to celebrate and party like crazy in 2026 to
I
celebrate
love
what
it.
that new era is going to look like. So
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to make sure I'm here for that. I'm going to make
yeah.
sure my kids are here for that to experience it.
Make it be a big deal.
Yeah, and maybe in 2026 there will be no wars around the world,
Yeah,
right? We've got the Bitcoin reserves, each Bitcoin 700K
Yeah.
or more.
Yeah.
And we're the government is less bloated because 80% of the government has been, you've even,
I mean,
you know,
yeah.
it's
Even
crazy, right?
20% would
And
be wild.
did you hear about one of the things that President Trump was suggesting is moving the different departments out of DC area and moving to different parts of the country where it makes sense.
Oh my
So
goodness.
it's not all consolidated in one area where you get this group think,
Yeah.
and then that one area, DC controls everything, and it turns into this fraternity of people with lobbyists and everybody going in there and think tanks, and they're creating this nonsense, not understanding, right, what's happening on the ground, right? And so, um, all those type of things just sound so great if, people can stay out of the way a little bit.
Yeah. No, I think you're exactly
Yes.
right. I mean, think about how hopeful this conversation has been, and it feels so weird because I think for so long we've all been in, like, at some point thriving, or excuse me, at some point we've kind of all been surviving this deal, and I don't think,
Right.
even like you said, like, it's so hopeful right now. I don't think we all realize how much we were surviving it. And now it's like, what if we thrive? What if we go to Mars? What if we celebrate our country? You and I have lived overseas in different, like, regions of the world, and there's like, one of the things, I lived in India for years, so did you. I just love the celebration that happens in India, and I think in America we have the Fourth of July, and we kind of, but it's more about, for me, it's always been more about like fireworks and barbecue and,
Right.
oh yeah, our nation, whatever. And most of the time we're like, yeah, whatever. But now it's
Right.
like, man, I am proud to be American. We're gonna rock this thing. This is awesome.
Abs- Absolutely, absolutely. And every place that, as you said, we've been in a lot of places around the world. How many of those people are, why are you even here?
Yeah,
I used to get asked that all the question. They're like, why did you leave the US? Right? Like, why are you even here? And so,
sure.
um, there, there's a reason people come here and are trying to get
Yeah,
over the border. And there are
yeah,
very few people who are fighting to get to those other countries, right? And so there's a reason
yeah,
that we have to recognize. And so I think that we're coming into a really interesting time. Really excited. Again, I'm beg, borrow, steal, Bitcoin.
yeah,
I just think that, uh, back to the core. I tell people, like, they're like, oh yeah, I invested in some, altcoins and some meme coins,
yeah,
and I have literally gotten to the point where I say garbage.
yeah,
And I have gotten, listen, you want long-term wealth, you want to be a day trader, have fun with those things, keep a thousand
yeah.
dollars in your
Right.
Coinbase and play around every day as part of your hobby, like fantasy
Yeah,
football,
yeah, it's true.
you know, but put your wealth into, like, look at Bitcoin, look at
Yeah,
Ethereum, stick
yeah,
to those two. You'll be good. Don't worry about it, and
yeah.
go enjoy your family.
Right.
Right? Like, it's
We won't, we
really,
won't, we won't extend this too much, but man, Ethereum has been such a dog over the last year and a half.
yeah,
It's kicking up right now just a little bit,
yeah,
but it is
sure.
amazing. The Bitcoin dominance is like at 60% over everything, and it just keeps going up, and everything else just kind of. I mean, there's a few. Solana's doing right now. Ethereum's
Right.
starting to kick up, but it'll be interesting because you know how it is. Yeah, Bitcoin. I tell everybody, like you said, it's the gold standard. Everybody needs a little bit, even if you don't think you have much. Just get a little more. And there are. I think there's going to be some incredible projects. I mean, moving forward, there's going to be RWA projects. There's going to be gaming projects. There's going to be all of these
Right.
different things. And the cool thing now is that, like, that possibly could happen in America. We could regulate that stuff instead of, nope, we don't know. Gensler's just going to screw you over, so everybody go overseas. Like, what if America was the hub? What if it was New York, Mr. New York City? What if it was New York City? That's the crypto hub.
Oh
That's where you
man,
go. I mean, that'd be
I'm sitting
incredible,
right
right?
now, 25 minutes outside of New York City right now. Like, man, well, there's a bunch of people who need to get fired, Gensler,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
the Fed. We need to take a look at that also.
yeah,
But However, I agree with you 100%. I think that it would be amazing. I do think, as you said, Ethereum's been a dog. Solana's kind of doing better. They're all a little uptick, but honestly, it's all Bitcoin driven.
Oh yeah,
When Bitcoin
100%.
is when Bitcoin is going well, everybody else is doing well. When
Yep.
Bitcoin is doing terrible, everybody else is doing terrible.
Way
So
worse.
let's not yeah, so let's not confuse ourselves as
No.
who's the big dog in the room.
No, for sure.
Uh, right? And so that's who you want to tie, your ship to, or who you're
Yep.
going to want to, be in with. So, yeah, I think anybody who thinks otherwise, they're just wasting your time right
Yep.
here. And so, yeah, I'm
No,
super
exactly.
excited. By the way, just one final thing that I want to throw out, just in case, pray President Trump, if you're watching, I love the idea of eliminating the IRS. That would be really
Oh my
great.
gosh.
Appreciate it if you could do that.
Yep. I could be a part of that also if you want some help.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's watching. I mean, he's been on all the podcasts. I'm
Yeah.
sure maybe in a
I
year
think
we could have him on, talk a little Bitcoin.
listen, I think that he may have listened to one of our podcasts and learned some stuff and said, "Let me go
I'm
buy a
assuming,
burger using
yeah,
Bitcoin." That's
he was
all I can assume.
one of the 50, one of the 80. Yeah, bring kick it
That's
back up.
right.
Hey,
That's right. Yeah.
we're so glad that we've kicked back up on Hard Knock Crypto.
Yep.
Thanks for listening.
Yep.
We will catch you. I think we're gonna start doing this weekly, right? We're gonna do it.
Yeah, I'd love to. Let's do it. This is the
We
time to
are
pick it up again.
we are so excited about the future, and we are looking forward to more new listeners. Make sure you like or subscribe, and thank you for listening to Hard Knock Crypto. Peace.